This is your final warning. The next sound I hear from that child will be the sound of security marching down the aisle to throw you out. From this aircraft immediately, the sharp smack of skin against skin reverberated through the first-class cabin. Flight attendant Lena Petrova's hand had just collided with Anya Sharma's cheek as she cradled her 6-month-old daughter, Maya, close to her heart. The baby's wails grew louder from the abrupt aggression. Nearby passengers whipped out their phones, filming what they presumed was rightful discipline of a troublesome traveler. Finally, someone with guts, an elderly woman adorned in pearls, murmured approvingly. Anya's cheeks stung, but her dark eyes remained unwavering. She adjusted Maya's blanket with shaking hands, her boarding pass visible on her lap. Mrs. A. Sharma, marked with a special gold status code that Petrova had completely disregarded. The cabin grew quiet, save for Maya's soft sobs and the clicks of recording devices. Have you ever been labeled a bad parent in public before anyone offered help? Petrova smoothed her navy uniform, her silver wings glinting under the cabin lights as she played to her audience. The slap had invigorated her. At last, a chance to showcase true authority to the first-class passengers who paid top dollar. "Ladies and gentlemen, I regret the disturbance," Petrova declared loudly enough for all to hear. "Some individuals just don't grasp proper travel etiquette." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the cabin. A businessman in a costly suit nodded toward Anya. "Thank heavens someone's upholding standards. These people always think they can act however they please." Anya stayed silent, gently rocking Maya to soothe her cries. The baby's tiny hand gripped her mother's finger, a gesture that should have softened hearts but only seemed to annoy the watching passengers further. Petrova pulled out her radio, speaking with theatrical command. "Captain Evans, we have a code yellow in first class. Disruptive passenger with an infant refusing to follow crew orders." The radio crackled back. "Understood, Lena. How do you wish to proceed?" "I recommend immediate removal before takeoff. She's already delayed us 8 minutes with this outburst." Anya glanced at her phone. The screen showed 14 minutes until departure. Below that, a text notification. Corporate legal merger announcement set for 2 p.m. EST. All systems prepared. She slipped the phone away before Petrova could read the message clearly. "Excuse me?" Anya said softly, her voice barely audible over the cabin hum. "My ticket indicates seat 2A. I paid for first-class service, and I'd appreciate—" Petrova interrupted with a sharp laugh. "Sweetheart, I don't care what scheme you used to get that ticket. People like you always try to sneak into upgrades. I know every trick in the book." A young woman across the aisle, perhaps college-aged, held up her phone, streaming on TikTok. "Y'all, this is wild. This flight attendant just slapped a mom with a baby. I can't even—" Her viewer count surged, 847, 1234, 3456. But the comments weren't in Anya's favor. They were harsh, critical. Finally, someone disciplining bad parents. Why can't people control their kids on flights? That mom looks entitled AF. Flight attendant is a hero. Petrova noticed the filming and leaned into her role. "Ma'am, if you can't handle your child properly, I have every right to request your removal from this aircraft. Airline policy is crystal clear about disruptive passengers." Anya reached into her carry-on for baby formula. As she did, a gleam of platinum caught the light, an airline executive card tucked between diapers and bottles. She quickly concealed it, but its unique design stood out from standard frequent flyer cards. Her phone buzzed again, the caller ID visible. AuraSky Airways executive office. She declined the call. Petrova's eyes narrowed. "Who do you think you're calling? Your baby daddy won't save you from federal aviation rules." The jab landed like another blow. Several passengers snickered. The businessman in the pricey suit spoke up. "Miss, you're delaying 180 passengers with this drama. Some of us have critical business to attend to. 12 minutes until mandatory departure." Captain Evans's voice boomed over the intercom. "Flight crew, prepare for final boarding completion." Anya checked her watch. A simple black timepiece, understated but engraved on the back. To my brilliant wife, A.S. Petrova was reaching her peak. Ma'am, I'm asking you one last time to gather your things and leave voluntarily. If you refuse, federal air marshals will escort you off. The TikTok stream hit 8,000 viewers. Comments flooded in, but among the harsh judgments were a few dissenting voices. Something's off here. Why's the mom so calm? She seems too composed. Flight attendants way too aggressive. A business passenger by the window typed rapidly on an aviation forum. His post, titled Witnessing Discrimination Live, AuraSky Flight 847, gained traction among industry insiders. Petrova grabbed her radio again. Captain, passenger is non-compliant, requesting immediate ground security. Copy. Ground crew is on standby. Anya spoke again, her voice steady despite the public shaming. Ma'am, I understand you're following what you think are protocols, but I suggest verifying my passenger status before taking irreversible steps. Irreversible? Petrova's voice dripped with disbelief. Lady, the only thing irreversible is your behavior. You think a fancy outfit and a first-class ticket let you disrupt an entire flight? The elderly woman in pearls leaned forward. Young lady, in my day, parents knew how to travel with children properly. This behavior is utterly disgraceful. More phones emerged, capturing the scene from every angle. Facebook live streams started. Instagram stories uploaded. Shek's flight drama trended locally, but Anya remained eerily calm, not arguing or raising her voice. Her composure unsettled the sharpest observers. Baby Maya quieted, responding to her mother's steady heartbeat. Her innocent gaze should have charmed passengers, but it only irritated them more. 10 minutes, Petrova declared with finality. Security will be here, and this will be resolved one way or another. Anya kissed Maya's forehead and whispered something inaudible. Her eyes held a knowing glint that made the savviest passengers uneasy. Something was about to shift. Captain David Evans strode into the first-class cabin, his gold stripes gleaming. 22 years of aviation experience gave him commanding presence. What's the situation, Lena? Evans' voice carried Federal Aviation Authority. Petrova stood taller, energized by her captain's presence. Sir, this passenger has been disruptive since boarding, crying child, ignoring crew instructions, and now arguing about deplaning. Evans assessed Anya with a seasoned eye. Young mother, designer diaper bag, first-class seat. But his assumptions aligned with Petrova's story. Ma'am, I'm Captain Evans. Federal regulations require compliance with crew instructions. The TikTok stream surged past 15,000 viewers. The college student filming whispered, "The captain's here now. This is getting intense." Comments flooded in. She's about to get arrested. Captain looks furious. Bye, Felicia. Anya adjusted Maya, glancing at her phone. 8 minutes until departure deadline. 8 minutes until what? Evans demanded, patience wearing thin. Ma'am, your schedule doesn't override federal safety protocols. 2 federal air marshals emerged from the galley, their plain clothes unmistakable to those who knew the signs. The situation had escalated from a service issue to a potential security threat. Air Marshal Garcia approached cautiously, hand near his concealed weapon. Captain, what's the disturbance? Passenger non-compliance, Evans replied sharply, refusing to deplane after crew assessment of disruptive behavior. The business passenger on the aviation forum paused to snap photos. His post gained traction with 200 shares and 847 comments. Petrova seized her moment. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced over the intercom, we apologize for the delay caused by an uncooperative passenger. We'll resolve this shortly. The announcement sparked passenger frustration. Voices rose. Just kick her off already. Some people have no respect. I've got a connection to make. This is absurd. The TikTok stream hit 25,000 viewers. Local news alerts pinged. Viral incident unfolding on AuraSky Airways flight. Anya sat calmly, Maya now curious about the commotion. Her composure felt almost otherworldly, like someone awaiting a specific moment. Air Marshal Chen flanked Anya's other side. Ma'am, gather your belongings and come with us voluntarily. I need 5 more minutes to resolve this, Anya said quietly. Evans scoffed. You have 0 minutes. This is my aircraft, and you're a safety hazard. Anya's phone vibrated again. A new message flashed on the lock screen, visible to the camera lenses around her. Aura merger, public go-live initiated, CEO authority verified, Anya Sharma. The passengers froze. Petrova blinked. What is that? Anya unlocked the phone with a calm swipe. The screen displayed a secure dashboard. Corporate credentials authenticated. She looked directly at Captain Evans. I believe that makes me your employer, Captain. Silence crashed through the cabin. Petrova's face drained of color. You can't be serious. This is... Anya raised an eyebrow. Oh, I am. And every second of this spectacle is being broadcast to over 30,000 viewers. Congratulations, Lena. You just turned AuraSky's flagship flight into a PR disaster. The live streams exploded with comments. Wait, she's the CEO? The flight attendant slapped the boss. This is unreal. Evans froze, unsure whether to apologize or maintain authority. Ma'am, I didn't realize... You didn't ask, Anya replied softly, her tone razor-sharp beneath the calm. You saw a woman with a baby and assumed trouble. You let prejudice masquerade as professionalism. Maya cooed quietly, the tension somehow calming her. The sound echoed in the stunned silence. Petrova's voice cracked. Ma'am, I was only trying to protect the airline, Anya finished. You just jeopardized its reputation, its stock, and its moral credibility. Phones across the cabin buzzed simultaneously as the story hit mainstream outlets. CEO assaulted by flight attendant during boarding confrontation. AuraSky faces backlash after discrimination scandal mid-flight. Anya rose slowly, rocking Maya against her chest. Captain Evans, continue with the departure. I won't press charges yet, but ground security will meet us in New York for an internal review. Evans swallowed hard and nodded. Yes, ma'am. Passengers murmured apologies, though their faces betrayed guilt. The businessman who'd mocked her looked away, suddenly fascinated by his phone. The elderly woman clutched her pearls in shame. Petrova stood frozen, trembling slightly. I didn't know. Anya turned toward her. That's exactly the problem, isn't it? You never know. You just assume. The announcement tone chimed. Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff. Anya returned to her seat, strapping Maya securely. The cabin fell into stunned silence, the hum of the engines masking the weight of the moment. Online, the video had surpassed 100,000 live viewers. News agencies clipped segments in real time. Analysts speculated about legal action and corporate repercussions. As the plane began to taxi, Anya's phone buzzed again, a secure internal message. Board message. Crisis management online. Press holding statement released. Public sentiment. 72% in your favor. She smiled faintly. Good. Petrova, now seated rigidly at her jump seat, stared straight ahead, pale and shaking. Evans's voice came over the PA, unusually formal. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your patience. AuraSky Airways deeply values every passenger on board. A pause. We sincerely apologize for any distress caused prior to departure. The apology was sterile, but enough to ignite another round of online discussion. That captain sounded scared. They're totally trying to save face now. Anya glanced out the window as the aircraft lifted off. The clouds swallowed the view, the hum steady and calm. Maya drifted to sleep. Petrova sat silently, replaying the slap in her mind. The sound haunted her. The moment her hand connected, she had thought she was asserting control. Now she realized she'd struck the hand that paid her salary. Evans's voice came through the intercom again, shakier this time. Estimated flight time, 6 hours, 10 minutes. Enjoy your flight. Enjoy. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. For the first hour of the flight, no one spoke. The atmosphere in first class was suffocating. Even the clinking of glasses from the galley sounded muted, cautious, afraid. Petrova avoided looking in Anya's direction. Every muscle in her body screamed with humiliation. She wanted to apologize, to explain, but every word felt useless. The internet had already judged her. Meanwhile, Anya calmly scrolled through messages from AuraSky's board of directors. Board member, read. Footage confirms incident. HR and PR teams on standby. Proceed as you see fit. Anya, do not interfere. Let it circulate. The company needs to see itself in the mirror. She locked her phone and turned her gaze to the dark clouds outside. Maya stirred slightly in her sleep. Across the aisle, the college girl who had streamed everything whispered to her seatmate, "That's really her. She's the Anya Sharma, youngest female CEO in aviation history, the one who rebuilt AuraSky after the pandemic collapse." Her friend stared wide-eyed. "Dude," and the flight attendant hit her. Whispers rippled quietly through the cabin. When Petrova finally found the courage to stand, her legs trembled. She walked slowly down the aisle toward Anya's seat. "Ma'am," she whispered, voice trembling, I don't have words. I am so sorry." Anya looked up, her expression unreadable. "You're sorry because you hit your boss or because you hit a woman you thought was powerless?" Tears welled in Petrova's eyes. Both. I made assumptions. I lost control." Anya's tone softened slightly, but her gaze remained sharp. "Do you have children, Lena?" "Yes, a son. He's 9. "Then imagine someone treating you that way while holding him." Petrova's lip quivered. "You're right. I'm not asking for guilt," Anya said quietly. "I'm asking for awareness." The captain's voice crackled over the intercom again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached cruising altitude. Cabin crew may begin service." Petrova straightened herself, nodded silently, and returned to her duties, though her movements were mechanical, a shadow of her former confidence. Hours passed. The news cycle didn't rest. AuraSky's share prices fluctuated wildly. Commentators debated whether the incident was staged for corporate publicity, while others praised Anya for her composure and the quiet power she had demonstrated. AuraSky scandal trended worldwide. At 35,000 feet, the seatbelt sign switched off, and Anya finally closed her eyes for a moment of rest. Her reflection on the darkened screen opposite her seat looked both powerful and weary. Her phone buzzed again. It was a call from her husband, Aiden. She answered quietly. "Are you okay?" His voice was low, concerned. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Maya's asleep. The situation's under control." "I saw the videos, Anya. Half the world did. Are you sure this was worth it?" She sighed softly. "Sometimes, people only change when they're forced to watch themselves break the rules they claim to uphold. You've made a lot of enemies today." "I've made a point," she corrected. Aiden was silent for a moment. Then he said, "You've always known how to turn chaos into a mirror." Anya smiled faintly. "And the world never likes what it sees." The seatbelt sign blinked on again. Turbulence. The plane shook lightly. A ripple of anxiety went through the cabin. Petrova instinctively steadied herself, eyes flicking toward Anya as if for permission to resume professionalism. Anya nodded once. "Do your job, Lena." Petrova swallowed and picked up the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We're passing through a mild patch of turbulence." Her voice, though shaky at first, regained its practiced tone. The cabin calmed. The turbulence subsided after several minutes, but something had shifted in the cabin. The atmosphere wasn't heavy anymore. It was reflective, like the quiet after a storm. Petrova resumed her duties silently, bringing water to passengers who now avoided eye contact. Each glass she placed down felt like a small act of penance. The businessman who had mocked Anya earlier offered a stiff nod of respect when their eyes met. He couldn't bring himself to speak. Meanwhile, the viral storm outside the aircraft was escalating. News anchors debated the moral collapse of customer service, diversity training, and corporate responsibility. Commentators replayed the slap frame by frame. Psychologists analyzed Petrova's body language. PR experts dissected Anya's calm, calling it a masterclass in crisis leadership. Hashtags multiplied. AuraSky CEO, a Flight 847 incident, power and prejudice, mother in the sky. Anya stayed offline for most of the flight, letting the narrative evolve naturally. She didn't need to steer it. Truth had momentum when you didn't try to control it. After meal service, Captain Evans came out of the cockpit again. He hesitated before approaching Anya's seat. "Ms. Sharma, may I have a word?" "Of course, Captain." He glanced toward the remaining passengers, then lowered his voice. "I want to apologize personally. You've led this company through a difficult recovery. You deserved better." Anya nodded once. "I appreciate that. But this isn't about me. It's about culture. A company can't claim to be progressive while its people carry invisible bias in their uniforms." Evans nodded slowly, ashamed. "You're right. You'll file a report when we land," Anya added calmly. "Be honest in it. Don't protect anyone, including me." The captain blinked. "You want this recorded officially?" "Of course, transparency isn't a slogan, it's a practice." Evans took a deep breath. "Understood, ma'am." As he walked away, Petrova looked over nervously. Anya met her eyes again, not with anger now, but something like quiet instruction. "You're not being fired," she said softly, just loud enough for Petrova to hear. "But you'll be retrained, and you'll help redesign the empathy module for new hires." Petrova's lip trembled. "You'd let me stay?" "You'll make sure this never happens again," Anya replied. "That's your new job." Petrova's tears finally fell, silent but sincere. "Thank you." Anya gave a small nod. "Make it worth the forgiveness." The rest of the flight continued without a word out of place. The air marshals returned to their seats, quietly observing. The college student, still stunned, whispered, "She didn't just survive a scandal, she turned it into policy." Her friend replied softly, "She didn't fight power, she was power." By the time the plane began its descent toward New York, the videos online had surpassed 2 million views. AuraSky's communications team released a brief statement. "We are aware of an incident aboard Flight 847. The company does not condone inappropriate behavior by any employee. An internal investigation is underway. AuraSky remains committed to equality, professionalism, and the safety of all passengers." It was corporate, polished, and intentionally vague, but everyone knew who wrote it. As the aircraft broke through the clouds, the skyline of Manhattan appeared, bathed in gold from the setting sun. Petrova leaned slightly toward Anya and whispered, "That view never gets old." Anya smiled faintly. "No, it doesn't." For the first time, Petrova saw her not as a passenger or a CEO, but as a mother, human, exhausted, but unshakably composed. The descent was smooth, the cabin lights dimming as the crew prepared for landing. Passengers who had once glared at Anya now looked at her with a strange mix of awe and discomfort. Some wanted to apologize, others just wanted to disappear quietly into anonymity once they disembarked. The pilot's voice broke the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be touching down at JFK in approximately 12 minutes. Please ensure your seatbelts are securely fastened." Petrova moved through the aisle one last time, double-checking everything. She stopped beside Anya's seat, her posture no longer rigid, but humble. "Thank you for not ending my career today," she whispered. Anya looked up. "Endings are easy, Lena. Change is harder." Petrova nodded slowly. "I'll make it right." "I believe you will," Anya said. As the plane lowered through thick gray clouds, New York came into view, glittering towers, moving lights, and the pulse of the city waiting below. Maya stirred, waking softly, her small hand clutching Anya's necklace. The baby giggled quietly, as if oblivious to the chaos that had erupted hours earlier. For a brief moment, Anya allowed herself to relax. She kissed her daughter's forehead. "You did well today, my love." The wheels touched the runway with a soft thud. The cabin erupted in the usual shuffle of seatbelts and phone chimes, but no one dared stand until the captain gave permission. The weight of the earlier confrontation still lingered in the air. When the seatbelt sign switched off, Captain Evans's voice came again, more subdued this time. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New York. On behalf of AuraSky Airways, we thank you for flying with us. Applause started somewhere in the back of the cabin, hesitant at first, then spreading forward. It wasn't the usual landing clap. It felt like a collective release of tension, a strange acknowledgement of everything that had just unfolded. Petrova's eyes glistened as she stood by the exit, helping passengers disembark. The businessman from before paused. "Miss Petrova, I judged wrongly. I owe you, and that woman, an apology." She smiled faintly, voice quiet. "Then start by judging less next time." When it was Anya's turn to leave, Petrova extended her hand. It shook slightly, but Anya took it anyway. "Good luck with the empathy program," she said. "I'll make sure it's worthy of your name," Petrova promised. Anya smiled and stepped through the door, Maya in her arms, greeted immediately by a wall of flashing cameras. Security surrounded her, forming a respectful perimeter. Dozens of reporters shouted questions. "Ms. Sharma, is it true you were assaulted by your own employee? Are you pressing charges? Was this incident staged as part of a leadership test?" Anya paused briefly at the terminal's threshold, facing the noise, the chaos, the blinding lights. Then she spoke clearly, every word crisp enough for the microphones. "Today wasn't about me. It was about every person who's been underestimated, dismissed, or silenced because someone thought they looked like trouble. We can't build progress on prejudice. Not in the skies, not on the ground." The crowd fell quiet for a moment. Cameras clicked furiously. She adjusted Maya in her arms. "AuraSky will respond, not with words, but with reform. The world deserves better from all of us." And with that, she walked past the cameras toward the black car waiting by the curb. Petrova, visible in the aircraft doorway behind her, watched silently, the memory of that slap still burning in her hand. Not from shame alone, but from realization. Because power, she finally understood, wasn't in force. It was in grace. As Anya's car door closed, her phone buzzed one last time. "The internet's calling it the flight that changed aviation. You've started something." "Anya. Good, let's make sure it doesn't end with a headline." She turned to look at Maya, now peacefully asleep again. Outside, the sky was streaked with gold, the same color as the Airline's logo, gleaming on the tail of the plane behind them. For once, it felt like the color meant something. The convoy of cars pulled away from JFK's private terminal, slipping into the pulse of New York's night traffic. Inside the black sedan, silence lingered like a shared understanding between mother and child. The city's skyline glittered ahead, distant but alive, 1,000 lights flickering like watchful eyes. Anya leaned back in her seat, exhaustion finally catching up with her. Maya shifted gently, her tiny fingers curling against her mother's chest. For the first time in hours, the rhythm of the world seemed slower, bearable. Across from her sat an assistant, a young woman named Clara, who had been waiting at the terminal. Her tablet glowed softly in the dark. "The board's in emergency session," she said carefully. "Media outlets are looping the clip on every channel. You've gone viral worldwide." Anya didn't respond immediately. Her gaze drifted out the window, the blur of headlights, the pulse of the city, the familiar chaos she had always found a strange comfort in. Finally, she said, "What's the tone of it?" "Mixed," Clara replied. "Half the people see you as an icon. The other half call it a setup or a stunt." Anya smiled faintly. Truth always sounds like a stunt to people who've never tried it. Clara hesitated. "There's pressure to make a statement before the market opens. Do you want to review the draft?" Anya nodded. Clara handed her the tablet. On the screen was a carefully written press release. AuraSky Airways official statement. In light of the events aboard Flight 847, AuraSky confirms that CEO Anya Sharma was the passenger involved. The company condemns all forms of misconduct and will implement new human engagement standards immediately. AuraSky believes in accountability, empathy, and transformation through learning. Anya read it twice. Then she deleted half the words and rewrote them herself. Accountability isn't a press release. It's a promise. AuraSky will rebuild trust not with slogans, but with sincerity. We owe that to every passenger and to each other. She handed the tablet back. Post that, nothing more. Clara nodded, typing quickly. The car turned onto the expressway. Neon signs reflected across the windows, reminders of a city that never stopped watching, never stopped judging. Clara glanced up again. The employee involved, Lena Petrova, she's requesting a personal meeting. She said she wants to apologize in person before disciplinary action. Anya exhaled slowly. Tomorrow, not tonight. Yes, ma'am. Silence returned, punctuated only by the hum of tires on asphalt. Maya stirred again. Anya smiled softly. She'll never remember this, she whispered. Clara looked up. But the world will. That's the point, Anya murmured. They pulled up to AuraSky's Manhattan headquarters, a towering glass structure that reflected the city lights like liquid gold. Reporters crowded outside the gates, but the car slid through a private entrance. Inside, the lobby staff stood silently as Anya entered, the echoes of her footsteps commanding the space. In the elevator, Clara asked quietly, "Do you regret flying commercial today?" Anya shook her head. "You can't lead an airline from a private jet." When they reached the top floor, the boardroom lights were already on. Half the directors stood waiting. Some looked guilty, others nervous. One or two wore the expression of opportunists sensing political gain. Anya didn't sit right away. She placed Maya's carrier gently on the table, beside the corporate reports and stock charts. "This," she said softly, "is who you serve when you talk about passenger experience." The room fell completely silent. Anya continued, her tone calm but firm. "We will rebuild training from the ground up. We will review every complaint ignored, every employee silenced, every mother or father made to feel small. This isn't an incident, it's a turning point." Someone finally spoke, a senior executive. "And the PR fallout?" Anya met his eyes. "Handled. But the moral fallout, that's our real turbulence." The boardroom's glass walls overlooked Manhattan, the city glittering like circuitry beneath a midnight sky. Every director sat rigid, waiting for Anya to continue. The tension was electric, not born of fear but of exposure. Anya stood at the head of the table, her presence commanding but composed. She wasn't just the CEO's wife anymore. She was the woman who had faced humiliation in front of millions and turned it into a global reckoning. "Let's start with the obvious," she said. "We've spent years building an airline that prides itself on excellence, but somewhere along the way, empathy fell off the checklist. Procedures replaced people, policy replaced perspective." No one interrupted. She gestured toward the digital wall screen behind her, which displayed the live analytics feed from social media. Over 89 million views, 5 million comments, and rising by the minute. The company's logo trended beside hashtags like AuraSky Reform, Sharma Standards, and On Our Never Again 847. "Our stock is dropping," said the CFO quietly. 9% in 3 hours. But our sentiment index is climbing. People believe we're handling this differently. They see transparency. Anya nodded. "Exactly. People forgive failure. They don't forgive arrogance." She walked slowly around the table, her heels echoing against the marble floor. "From today onward, every single employee, from cabin crew to command center, will undergo the new family protection protocol. This isn't a suggestion. It's survival." "Implemented by when?" asked the operations chief. 30 days, Anya said. "And if someone fails the evaluation, they don't fly. Not for us, not for anyone." The HR director swallowed. "That's going to cause a massive staffing shortage." "Then we'll hire better people," Anya replied simply. Her tone wasn't angry. It was resolute. The calm of someone who had spent the day being underestimated and had no intention of letting it happen again. The head of PR spoke up. "The press wants an exclusive interview. CNN, BBC, The Wall Street Journal, all within the hour." Anya shook her head. "No interviews, not yet. The story doesn't need my face. It needs our reforms." "But public silence could be seen as avoidance," he argued. "Silence isn't avoidance when your actions speak louder," she said. "By dawn, I want visible proof. Every website updated, every public statement aligned, every training order signed. If people refresh their screens and see change, we win back credibility. Across the room, Clara typed rapidly, issuing real-time directives to communications teams. One director, older and weary-looking, finally exhaled. "Mrs. Sharma, what made you stay so calm? Most people would have broken down." Anya paused. "Because anger gives them power," she said. "Calm takes it back." For a long moment, the room stayed quiet, that rare silence of people realizing they were in the presence of someone who had just changed the rules of leadership. The door opened, and an assistant entered with a stack of legal folders. "These are all pending discrimination settlements," she said softly. 17 in total. Anya's expression hardened. "Reopen them all, every single one." Gasps rippled around the table. "That could cost millions." "So does silence," she replied. She took the folders one by one, scanning the summaries. Patterns emerged, similar complaints, same captains, same crew types, a systemic problem, hidden under legal settlements and NDAs. "From now on," she said, "no non-disclosure agreements in discrimination cases. If we're proud of our ethics, we shouldn't need secrecy." Her words landed like a verdict. Clara turned from her laptop. "The post you approved is live. Within 5 minutes, it's already being called the most human corporate statement ever released." Anya allowed herself a brief, tired smile. "Good. Then maybe humanity still works." The board members exchanged glances, relief, admiration, perhaps a touch of awe. "Dismissed," Anya said gently. "Except legal, stay." As the others filed out, the legal chief approached. "You realize," he said quietly, "you just set a precedent that'll echo across every major airline." "I'm counting on it," Anya replied. "Now draft the new passenger Bill of Rights, and make sure it has one line at the top. Every traveler is family." Legal nodded, already typing rapidly. "This will require board approval, but I see no objections. This could redefine airline standards worldwide." Anya glanced at Maya, now sleeping peacefully in her carrier. "It should," she said softly. "We've tolerated too many abuses hidden behind procedures. Today proves that systems without accountability are dangerous." Clara leaned closer, whispering, "Flight 847 is still trending. The footage alone has millions watching. People are calling it a turning point for corporate responsibility." Anya's eyes flicked to the window. The city lights blurred past like streaks of gold. "Good. People need to see change, not just hear it." Meanwhile, AuraSky's IT and communications teams had been working feverishly. By the time Anya returned to her office, the digital landscape reflected her vision. Statements pinned, videos contextualized, apology protocols implemented, and social media monitoring active. Every major news outlet had the story framed accurately, emphasizing accountability over scandal. Anya sat behind her desk, unclasping Maya's carrier and settling her gently. The infant's small hand traced her mother's necklace. For a moment, all corporate crises and viral chaos melted away. Then her phone buzzed, multiple notifications from global leaders, aviation authorities, and legal contacts. One was marked Urgent, FAA, Chen. She swiped the message open. "Mrs. Sharma, preliminary review indicates AuraSky will be cited as a model for immediate reform. FAA recommends documentation of all training procedures for federal record. Your oversight has already exceeded expectations." Anya exhaled. "That's the point," she murmured. She tapped the call button for a video briefing with her global executive team. Cameras activated. Seated were directors from Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Each face reflected urgency, but also the realization that they were witnessing leadership in its rarest form. "Team," Anya began, her voice calm but firm. "Today we exposed systemic flaws, but we also demonstrated that dignity and accountability can prevail. I don't want statements. I want action. Full audits, retraining, transparency metrics, and public-facing accountability checks worldwide. Every passenger deserves this." A European executive spoke up, hesitantly. Mrs. Sharma, this is unprecedented. Implementing globally could take months, even years. Anya shook her head. Then we do it faster. Because every day we delay is another day families are exposed to prejudice, neglect, or abuse. Her words hit hard. Silence fell. This wasn't just strategy, it was moral clarity. Maya gurgled softly. Anya smiled down at her daughter. You're going to see a better world, little one. One where no one is humiliated for circumstances beyond their control. Clara, seated beside Anya, whispered, The legal team is preparing frameworks for the Family Protection Protocol worldwide. This could influence aviation law internationally. Anya nodded. Then let's make sure it does. Outside, AuraSky flights continued their routes unaware of the seismic shift occurring at corporate headquarters. Inside, every decision, every message, every training protocol now carried the weight of what had happened on Flight 847. Anya tapped the final document for immediate upload, the Passenger Bill of Rights. It opened with, Every traveler is entitled to respect, safety, and dignity. No employee may touch, intimidate, or harass a passenger without explicit safety justification. Violations will result in termination and legal action. Clara looked over her shoulder. It's perfect. Anya allowed herself a small smile. Then perfected in practice, not just on paper. Hours later, global news outlets began framing the story not as a viral assault, but as a blueprint for corporate accountability. Analysts speculated on the long-term impact. Social media users debated fiercely. Thousands of parents shared their own stories. A movement had begun. One woman and her infant had catalyzed systemic change. Even within AuraSky, employees whispered, shared messages, and watched the training modules with newfound seriousness. The fear of negligence was now replaced with a responsibility rooted in empathy. By midnight, the TikTok stream from Flight 847 had surpassed 120 million views, the hashtag Sharma Standards trending worldwide. Chloe, the college student who had streamed the flight live, had gained 12 million followers overnight. Anya finally allowed herself to lean back, holding Maya close. The infant yawned, her tiny chest rising and falling steadily. The world outside continued at its relentless pace, but inside that office, a quiet sense of resolution settled. She whispered almost to herself, Change doesn't wait for permission, it waits for courage. And with that, she turned her gaze to the next task, reshaping aviation culture, one airline at a time. The following weeks were transformative. AuraSky flights everywhere implemented the Family Protection Protocol, ensuring every cabin crew member completed 40 hours of bias awareness, de-escalation, and passenger rights training. Termination for violations became immediate. Zero tolerance was non-negotiable. News outlets chronicled the reforms. International coverage emphasized how a single incident exposed systemic discrimination and forced unprecedented corporate accountability. Airlines across Europe and Asia began reviewing their own policies. The Sharma Standards became a global benchmark. Chloe, the college student who had broadcast Flight 847, released a documentary titled 35,000 FT, Discrimination in the Sky. It highlighted not only the viral incident, but systemic failures in aviation culture. Awards followed, and the film became required viewing in business schools, aviation programs, and leadership seminars worldwide. Federal investigators and AuraSky legal teams reviewed every discrimination complaint from the past decade. Settlements were reopened, public apologies issued, and compensation delivered transparently. The message was clear. No more hiding, no more silence. Petrova's trial concluded within 3 months. With overwhelming evidence, video, audio, and federal documentation, she was convicted of assault and child endangerment, receiving 18 months in prison and 5 years probation. Captain Evans was convicted for enabling assault and neglecting passenger safety. His license was revoked and his pension terminated. AuraSky stock initially dipped 11% after the incident, but confidence rebounded as investors recognized the airline's unprecedented reforms. Within 6 months, revenue increased by 23%, customer satisfaction among diverse travelers hit 97%, and AuraSky became the industry standard for ethical passenger treatment. Passengers reported dramatically improved experiences. Families of color no longer braced for confrontation. Children saw their parents treated with dignity, crews offering help rather than hostility. The incident became Harvard Business School's top case study in crisis management, illustrating the power of composure, strategic thinking, and principle. Maya, now walking, traveled with her parents, welcomed warmly on every AuraSky flight. Anya's leadership inspired marginalized travelers globally, her story showing that preparation, composure, and principle could defeat prejudice. Arjun and Anya founded the Family Travel Foundation, supporting over 847 discrimination cases, achieving 100% settlement success. Federal authorities recognized AuraSky's new protocols as industry-leading. The airline became a model for civil rights compliance in aviation. Internationally, airlines adopted the Sharma Standards. The UN cited the reforms in human rights forums, emphasizing that individual courage can catalyze institutional change. Families reported safer, more dignified travel experiences, and children witnessed parents' rights respected openly. Chloe's stream of Flight 847, which had peaked at 89,000 live viewers, continued to grow. Her documentary reached 47 million views, inspiring widespread cultural conversation about assumptions, bias, and corporate accountability. Anya's example, strategic thinking, systemic reform, using privilege responsibly, resonated globally. She demonstrated that dignity under assault could become a template for social and corporate transformation. Petrova's conviction became a cautionary tale in airline training programs worldwide. Evans's license revocation warned pilots, authority without morality destroys careers. AuraSky retrofitted aircraft with bias detection technology, setting the standard for passenger protection. Families of all backgrounds began traveling without fear. Crew training shifted from compliance to empathy. Aviation culture prioritized respect. The Sharma Standards became the global law of the skies. Discrimination complaints across airlines dropped 67% within 1 year. Anya's quiet strength and calm decisiveness proved that change doesn't require anger. It requires principle, composure, and strategic action. The incident inspired legislation, international airline policy reform, and a cultural shift where dignity and safety were non-negotiable. As Maya laughed in her parents' arms on a calm AuraSky flight, Anya whispered, "This is the world you deserve, my love. One where respect isn't optional. It's guaranteed." And in every corner of the globe, families traveling together knew one undeniable truth. Discrimination has consequences, accountability works, and courage changes the system. Have you faced discrimination while traveling with family? Share your story. Your voice drives change when parents speak truth together. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to see what happens when dignity meets determination. Get inspired with Black Says. Subscribe for powerful stories of family resilience and strength that celebrate our unstoppable community. Hit the bell to remember every parent deserves respect and celebration.